Hi everyone. I hope that the spirits are high and you're ready to learn more about flying, aviation, travel, and how AI improves those topics. Could you move to the next slide, please? Or is there a clicker? Okay, perfect. Yeah, so basically I'm here to tell you more about machine learning and generative AI applications in the travel and aviation industry, not only limited to Gen AI, but also to operational efficiency. So let me start with how we see the generative AI applications in travel in general. Basically, there is an idea that only the user-facing aspects can be improved, but we do not support that idea. We believe that we can use generative AI on the whole flow, from trip arrangement and planning the trip, to operations on the flight, to on-trip, such as guest engagement and assistance. And there are many applications along that journey. For example, this is the matrix from Lufthansa Innovation Hub from tnmt.com. This is our newsletter, where we discuss different applications from the most travel-specific to the least travel-specific. So starting with a very simple one, travel planning and itineraries. Probably each of you had a situation where they wanted to plan a trip with your friends or loved ones, and you had a thought, but you didn't know how exactly to express that. So you want something warm, you want something for a group of 4 people that is family-friendly, that also has some nice activities, but the choice is so wide that you don't know how to find that. And that's where the large language models come really into place, because with them you can actually just say those words out loud. I want something warm for 4 people with amazing activities, and you will get specific locations, specific hotels and flights, and way to book those as well. For example, the second startup that you see on the screen, Mindtrip, has already raised 15 million, being founded only in 2023. Next use case that is actually something that we all think about. It's basically surface level, which is customer support and management. Whether you are a guest at the hotel and you would like to understand how to get an iron or a toothbrush in your room, or you had a connection that you missed with your flight, you will always need the help of humans. And there's a lot of automation where Gen AI can come in, where you can save your time by talking to a bot that would not be stupid like a 2016 chatbot that would tell you yes or no and ask you to push the buttons. But you can actually express your intent in a very simple way. And after that, you will get immediately to your results. Content marketing generation, which is immensely important for travel. So for your understanding, there are over 1 million different destinations and small activities that you can find all across the world. And for each single one of them, you need pictures, you need videos, you need descriptions, and all of that has to be generated by humans. Of course, there is a big database that has come up recently, but in travel, content is immense. Finally, workforce training and recruiting, which is already a less travel-specific use case. And the use case that I will talk about in more detail is internal knowledge sharing, like creating a database about engineering of the aircraft or some other use cases. Now diving deeper into customer support and management, we can see that with generative AI, customers can get their results faster and can always get support even when the industry is facing shortages. So you all experienced probably the situation where you had to spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes, in some case 1 or 2 hours on the line of customer support, and generative AI chatbots help specifically with that. Even more, the misconception with the old chatbots is that everybody wants to get to a human, but what we see right now based on trip.com is that for flight-related requests, we can already service over 80% of use cases that humans have, while for hotel-related use cases, it's about 70%. And if you look at Gen AI-based chatbot versus non-Gen AI-based chatbot, it's almost double the performance in terms of number of things and applications that it has. Of course, it's still not perfect, and if you have a sudden relocation or a multi-stop flight that was where was a disruption, you still need a human, but for cases like, what's my PNR, am I allowed to take my luggage, please do a simple cancellation and refund, you can already use the GenAI chatbot. And this is something we do at my startup as well. So I'm the founder of the startup Swifty, where we work with AI-based travel booking, where you can simply express your request in words, like I want to go to Zurich next week within these dates, and I need a flight and hotel. And based on that, including all your travel policies, all your preferences, Swifty will get back to you with the results. In this case, you can even simply forward your calendar invite to Swifty, and based only on the calendar invite, it will understand the dates, the destination, where exactly in the city do you have to stay, and all the other details that it needs to take into account. So instead of setting up your filters, searches, and going through the classic, maybe sometimes inconvenient airline booking process, you can get your results immediately. In addition to that, if you need any other options, such as ancillaries, trains, or hotels, we will be able to give that to you as well. And you won't need to go into the second, third, and fourth website after that. With this use case, we also help travel agents save about 2 to 4 hours per single request, which makes a lot of efficiency gain in that part, and they can focus on actually serving the customers. But let's go a bit step back from the generative AI use cases and go to the machine learning use cases and more towards aviation, so to actual planes. The first one that I wanted to talk about is iClaus. It has a very interesting and exciting story where Klaus is actually a real name of an engineer that knew a lot about Lufthansa Technik engine services. He was the expert that everybody went to. He was a guru. When you didn't know something, you would go to him and you would ask him. Sometimes people have to go to retirement, and what the team did actually is that they decided that they need to make Klaus's knowledge immortal and to digitize it. And so the team has created a database with all the knowledge about the Technik engine solutions, and they've created a GenAI framework where every single employee now doesn't have to go to a guru who may be already retired, but can go to the central database and with a simple word request can ask iClaus, in this case, how can they solve this or that problem? And that's an example of the internal knowledge database and how the improvement can be achieved in that regard. The next use case is more passenger-focused. So there are over 300,000 seats in service at Lufthansa Group. And essentially, there are 100 parts per seat. Every single of those parts can be broken. And if the customer has broken it, and they usually do not report that to the staff, unfortunately, so there can be really bad surprises for the customer. So the solution to that was to understand how we can capture that information better, how we can translate that to the staff and to the actual technicians who would service the seat later, for us to improve the efficiency. So what happened is the staff or the people would simply go and they would report back in a simple word, hey, my seat on the right side doesn't feel right, or for example, there is a certain part that is torn, and then that would be translated into the structured fields, and those structured fields would be passed on to the technician. And then you even see a person in the Apple Vision Pro there. That's because there's also a VR implementation of that. When a technician goes through the cabin, they can see on which part the problem is and what the problem is exactly. And in the end, they can address that much faster and much better. And final use case is climate. So not only we can achieve better and faster service for the customers, not only we can improve our internal workforce, but we can also do better with climate and efficiency of the aircraft. The fuel prediction is a very, very complex topic where you need to know not only how much does your plane weigh and where do you need to go, but you need to know the number of passengers, the number of luggage that they bring, the number of food that will be on board, and all of that affects how much fuel should be up there. So this is a prediction that you actually know only until when the flight is boarded, when it's already too late to get fuel on the aircraft or to get the fuel off the aircraft. So what we need to do is we need to predict how heavy the aircraft will be and how we can get just the right amount of fuel. Because every additional fuel that we bring also carries, for every additional fuel that we bring on board, we also need to spend fuel to deliver that to the destination. So based on the prediction model, we have found out that we need to get as close to the aircraft boarding time in order to essentially load the aircraft with the fuel. And in addition, we can predict in advance so that the gap that we have to fill in with the fuel stays minimal. And this way we have over 9 million liters of fuel-saving potential globally, which is extremely good for the climate. That means that aircraft is less heavy. That means that less fuel is spent per flight and less fuel is simply wasted. And this was done by a simple machine learning model that we have implemented on the operational side. So you can see that there are multiple ways we can use machine learning and generative AI. First, I've talked about the customer support models and your own issues that you can see on the day-to-day basis. Second, we've seen the way how we can book by simply expressing our intent. And here we can also see that not only the customers and the users can get the benefit, but also the staff can be supported better. The customer on the plane or inside the operation can be served. And in addition to that, we can make a positive impact on climate and sustainability. That's it. If you want to stay in touch with us, you can follow the TNMT newsletter from Lufthansa Innovation Hub. You can contact me via email if you are curious to learn more or participate in some of those initiatives. Otherwise, thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, we still have a little bit of time, so feel free to ask. Yeah.
How do you predict the fuel? I suppose you get the weight from the luggage, and do you extrapolate the nationality of the people and then the average weight? For example, Americans are fat, so it's more, or how do you predict the passengers? Because you know the luggage, but not passengers.
We do not use the nationality of the customers to predict the weight of the aircraft, but the question was for the audience, how do we predict the fuel and the weight of the aircraft? So it's a fairly simple model. Well, there are under 10 parameters that you need to utilize in order to do that prediction. But in essence, in order to know how much fuel do you need to understand how many people will fly. You need to understand how much luggage will be there, and is there any cargo or not, and also additional ancillaries such as food, hygiene products, etc. So it's not as convoluted as predicting the weight of each individual passenger.
The genders, maybe?
Well, we have the averages that we can use, and of course that helps.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Then thank you. We save each other 5 minutes back, and I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great conference.